Hello, everyone. My name is Minnie Chen, and welcome to today's Collaborative Mentoring Webinar Series, special webinar of the month, and our last webinar for the year. And we hope everyone's doing well during this time, and thank you all for joining. Before we get started, I want to share some housekeeping information. All attendees are muted for best sound quality, and you're able to communicate with the presenters today via the questions box. There is live captioning available for this webinar, which can be accessed at the link that is just in the chat box currently. In 1 week, you'll receive an email with the information about how to download a copy of these slides and view the webinar recording. You can also access this information directly by going to Mentor's webinar in the next week. And to continually improve the series, we're looking for your input. So please help fill out the survey as you exit this webinar to give us your feedback. So to participate in today's webinar, again, please feel free to type any questions or comments throughout the webinar in the questions box. You're all muted, but we'll be queuing up questions during the Q&A portion of the webinar. We may not get to all your questions today, but we'll do our best, and we hope that the questions we share with our panelists are generally ones that help broaden or deepen the conversation. So today we have 2 polls to just get a sense of who is with us in the audience. So the first poll is, what is your experience level in the mentoring field? Are you a beginner, experienced, or expert? I'll give you a couple seconds to answer that. So it looks like the majority of 69% of you all are experienced, with 25 beginner and 6% expert. Our second poll is, what is your role in the mentoring field? So are you a practitioner, which is kind of a mentoring program professional, a technical assistance provider, a funder, a mentor, or other? And if you're other, feel free to type in the questions box, introducing yourself and your role. But we hope today's information is applicable to everyone. So it looks like the practitioners are majority of our audience today at 64%. And again, we have second, 17% other. So feel free to introduce yourself today, with 10% mentors and 7% technical assistance providers. So thank you all so much for joining. For our next slide, I just wanted to point out again our Q&A section. So please type your questions in the question box and we'll be able to see those and communicate with you. Lastly, before we begin, I just want to share some additional resources and remind you about other ways you'll be able to connect with us. Mentor scales impact by developing and supporting a national network of affiliates. These affiliates provide leadership and infrastructure necessary to support the expansion of quality mentoring relationships in local communities or statewide. So mentor affiliates serve as a clearinghouse for training, resources, public awareness, and advocacy. So we encourage you to find out whether you have an affiliate in your region, connect with them to learn more about local resources and training opportunities, as well as how you can further promote mentoring. Additionally, we encourage you to register your program if you have not already with the Mentoring Connector, which is a national database of mentoring programs. So this zip code searchable database allows mentors and mentees from across the country to find your program and is connected to LinkedIn, NBA Cares, Mentor.gov, and so many other avenues of free program promotion. Finally, check out the OJJDP National Mentoring Resource Center website for no-cost mentoring resources to help you apply evidence-based mentoring practices to your program. The NMRC provides evidence reviews on mentoring models and mentoring for special populations, training manuals to mentor guides, as well as the opportunity to request no-cost training and technical assistance. Now I want to welcome Mentor's marketing and communications team who will be presenting today on Mentor's new public awareness campaign and ways for you all to get involved to help promote mentoring. So let's get started.
Hi everybody, it is really a pleasure to be with you today. Thank you for giving up some time right before the holidays and just how crazy things are for all of us leading into National Mentoring Month. I'm really excited to be with you all today. My name is Matt Meyerson, and I have the privilege of serving as Mentor's Senior Director of External Affairs. Basically, my job is to show up to work every day and figure out how can I elevate the mentoring field? How can I get more people, more volunteers engaged as mentors, as supporters, and really excited about this body of work to help to accomplish that. And today I'm joined by some of my colleagues as we are talking through Mentor's new campaign that's really for the field, and it's really the new campaign for the mentoring field in regards to how we can activate together. Today, in addition to me, you'll hear from Heather Coyne, our Director of Digital Marketing, Haley St. Germain, who's our Digital Marketing and Design Associate, and then also Josie Seppel, who's our amazing AmeriCorps Vista, who is really gonna be able to walk you through some of the details about how you can engage on this work. So without anything further, let's really dive right in. So before I get into the campaign itself and how it came to be, really want to give just recognition to ASA. American Student Assistance has been our partner in this work. They're a national nonprofit dedicated to helping students succeed. ASA supports young people in identifying their passions, exploring educational and career pathways, and executing a plan to achieve their dreams. Their partnership has a lot of different components with Mentor National, but one of them has been enabling us to really lead this campaign the way it should be done, and in the detail and thoughtfulness that we're looking for. So without anything further, I want to pass it along to Heather to talk about a little bit of our process to get to this point.
Hi, everyone. I'm Heather Coyne, the Director of Digital Marketing at Mentor National. And before we get into the creative piece of the campaign, we wanted to give you a little background on how we started to think about and concept the campaign. So we embarked on this campaign with the main purpose of driving people to become involved in mentoring. And we wanted this campaign to resonate with the entire mentoring field, whether that's affiliates or programs or corporate partners. And we know that there are a few different ways that people typically engage in the mentoring field, whether that's becoming a mentor or donating to a program, becoming an advocate for mentoring, or sharing your mentoring story. So we really focused our 4 calls to action around these different engagements. But we also know there are other ways that folks can engage in mentoring, and so we made this campaign nimble enough to account for those as well. But you will see that they're focused around these 4 calls to action for launch at least. And then we identified our target audiences for the campaign to be current and future mentors, potential donors, policymakers, and advocates. And depending on the messaging, we'll make the messaging, we'll make the messaging for all of those different audiences. And we know that we want to tap into that network of our activation partners, as I mentioned, affiliates, programs, and external partners. We really want all of you to feel some ownership over this campaign and be able to use it the best way possible for you. So we'll show you how to do that. And to start off the process, we wanted to learn from the field and from different stakeholders about what's important to consider when thinking about concepting the campaign. So we held 14 different focus groups with affiliates, corporate partners, funders, mentors, mentees, mentoring program staff and board members, and Mentor National staff and our CEO as well. And we really asked about the mentoring field, opportunities, challenges, and priorities for 2021. So we wanted to consider all those when thinking about the campaign. And we found that the focus groups thought it was important that this campaign help change the narrative around mentoring. One barrier to folks becoming mentors is time commitment. So some people feel like they don't have the time or the skills to be a mentor. So focus groups wanted to make sure the new campaign could address some of those barriers. And then also the thought that being a mentee could be perceived as a weakness. They want to encourage young people to seek out mentors and to be proud of their mentoring relationships. So those were 2 sort of new things that came up for us. And then they also surfaced reasons to engage in mentoring. So many of these will look familiar to you all, but we wanted to make sure they were included when concepting the new campaign. So mentoring unites us in our communities, and relationships are important. And maybe even now more than ever that loneliness is trending upwards. So these are just a few of the many insights that we gained from the focus groups, but now we'll pass it back to Matt to show you how we turn these findings into a campaign.
Thanks, Heather. I get the fun part. I get to really talk about what this creative is. The campaign concept is called Mentoring Amplifies. And the idea of that is to keep it broad and nimble so that we can really customize from there and really tie into all of the details that we need within the field. So really excited about where we're going to go over the next few slides. I'll share creative examples and then the rationale behind each of those decisions. And then we'll get into how you all are able to utilize it and the resources that we've created to make that as seamless as possible. So why mentoring amplifies? Really to amplify the mentoring movement overall and amplify the people within it. That can be you all as mostly programmatic leaders, as funders, but also to amplify individual mentors who are living this work. We've heard over and over again, the power of a mentor sharing their story is the single best recruitment technique. How do we do more to amplify those stories and to amplify the work that's already being done at thousands of programs around the country? We also really want to show and inspire communities into action through these two-way symbiotic relationships. We know how much both the mentor and the mentee benefits, as I'm sure do all of you. We need to make sure our campaign is really demonstrating that from the beginning in an asset-based frame. And that's something that was really crucial to us as we went through. I spoke to the piece about the need for it to be really intentionally nimble and flexible so that we can utilize it for any detail throughout the year. It needs to work perfectly for National Mentoring Month. And as we go into February and Black History Month, it needs to resonate there. And as we go into anything else across all four of those key calls to actions, to Giving Tuesday, the idea that Mentoring Amplifies ties in as well under that, the storytelling, the advocacy pieces. And the idea of mentoring amplifies so much. It's not just about mentoring. It's about the possibility, the humanity, connection, the careers, joy, the education and advocacy, all the other things that get elevated and amplified because of this campaign and the work that you all are doing. I wanted to talk through what you're going to see today from the next 5 minutes or so from me. There's a high altitude narrative. I'm going to do the rare thing of actually reading a slide aloud verbatim. I think it's an important step here, and for you all to understand the background of where this is coming from. And then we're going to show some of the creative samples, the graphics, the word pairings, talk a little bit about the video that we just shot last week. We don't even have a rough cut of yet, but we know exactly where it's going. So wanting you to know that before it launches. So that's a little bit about where we're going. All right, so here I go, reading directly. Mentoring amplifies. What if we all decided to turn up our impact? How would we strengthen our communities? How would we change the world? Change multiplies each time someone is inspired by greater possibilities. It starts with someone like you committing to one act of support, which motivates someone else to advocate for progress. And then it builds from one connection to the next until entire communities are moved to action. That's the power of mentoring. Both the mentor and the mentee grow together, seeing the world through each other's eyes. Mentor and ASA are committed to equipping young people with mentoring relationships and growth opportunities everywhere they live, learn, work, and play. By providing tools and resources to further engage communities and actualize change, they are building a movement powered by possibilities. Mentoring amplifies change, one relationship at a time. So let's raise our voices and make the world a place of opportunity for all. Are you ready to join the mentoring movement? Wanted to really share that. Of course, you all are not the target audience, but instead part of that movement. And we are trying to get those that are not yet involved in our field to get involved. Now I get to talk about the graphics. I love the energy of the image treatment. One of the things that we did was really remove the backgrounds in a way to make images work anywhere you are in the country. And the concept is that whether Whether an image had a very urban or rural backdrop, it doesn't matter as you remove the background, and it's accessible and feels authentic to everywhere because of this. The energy is something that's really intentional in regards to the triangle shapes almost exploding out from the backgrounds. And that is really talking about just the impact that mentoring can have. And the gradient is really designed to bring the eye back into the center, to the protagonist of each of our images in terms of the mentor and the mentee themselves. You'll see some images down the line will have group mentoring models and other things, but it's really designed for that flexibility. In terms of the imagery itself, we are encouraging a diverse color palette. We're working hard to utilize photography with real mentors and mentees. A big shout out here to Mentor Nebraska. A lot of the photos come from photo shoots they organized with local mentoring programs within the state. You'll also see a lot of COVID-friendly imaging. We want you all to have the opportunity, depending on the vibe locally, for you all to be able to choose which images make sense and which to use. So you'll see that we were intentional in providing a range of images, and they're all designed to be approachable and authentic. Not staged images, but just having a photographer really capture the relationship in a lot of different places. So I'll just continue showing some examples on the next slide of everything that you all will see through the imagery. Some of them we've already removed the backdrop, some of them we haven't. Wanted to give a little bit of flexibility there. But from the top left of the young man with his mentor and the coffee cups, to the science project in the close to bottom right, as well as some of the other images that still for now have the backgrounds. So that's a little bit about what's to come there. Next, I want to really dive into the typography itself. It's something we were very, very intentional about. First is really the large caps condensed. It's called a sans serif font for the word amplify, designed to have that energy of amplification and growth. And then the handwritten script designed to bring in more of the human quality and that individual aspect. Hope that's feeling warm and personal as those second words and pairings go with it. The word pairings can really be updated and customized to fit your audience. And we have a lot of different examples that you see here on this slide, and then also another additional 9 more examples on the next slide. Just so many different examples of what we are doing and what we know that our field is already doing for relationships. Mentoring amplifies humanity and purpose in giving, understanding, joy, support, pathways, potential, connections, and truly so many more things. And when I spoke at the beginning about the nimbleness of this campaign, this is a key piece of what I'm talking about. I'm imagining a few months from now, well, hopefully we're back at in-person events, the idea of being able to pass out a poster where each attendee has the word amplify and then a blank and can fill in the word that resonates for them or for their program. I can imagine strong women, strong girls having amplify and then women, or our partners at JP Morgan Chase who are doing a lot of work specifically with young men of color and specifically with Black young men. The idea of, it could say amplify Black male excellence, but tying in within the overall umbrella of the campaign and tying in within the concept of mentoring amplifies. That flexibility to at times speak holistically and at times really get direct and fine on exactly what we're looking to speak to in regards to a specific program model or a specific time of year. That's a key piece of what we're trying to do here. And we encourage you all to really lean into this as well. Lastly, as I promised, I wanted to give a preview of the video. And this is something that will be ready for launch day on January 4th. These are screenshots and of the mentor and the mentee match in a couple of their scenes. The video will start with each of them as individuals, and while also really focusing on asset-based framing, we're also going to demonstrate that there's something not perfect yet, and the mentoring relationship is going to be an additional thing. And the same triangle graphics and energy that you've seen through the visual creatives and the images, we're going to incorporate that into the launch video with live motion graphics. And the idea is that as the relationship between the mentor and the mentee solidifies and the bond deepens, you'll see more of these live motion graphics that will be in the video. For those that are not in the Marcoms world, that's probably tough to visualize at this point. So all I can say at this point is I'm really excited about that as a concept. It's never something we've been able to do in a video before, and it will be ready for launch day on January 4th. So that really is it from me in terms of giving an overview of the campaign and the backgrounds. I am next really excited to pass this over to Josie to really get into the details of how do we want you all to engage, and then from there, some of the ways that we've tried to make it as easy as possible for you all to engage. So Josie, take it away.
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, so now that you've seen the campaign, we're going to move into ways that you can engage both in January and beyond. So during National Mentoring Month, there are 4 important dates that you should keep in mind. There's I Am a Mentor Day on January 7th, International Mentoring Day on the 17th, Dr. Martin Luther King Day Jr. Day of Service on the 18th, and Thank Your Mentor Day on the 29th. And so we've worked to create graphics specific to each of these days. On the screen, you can see 2 examples. They've incorporated the triangles from the Mentoring Amplifies campaign, as well as the hashtag Mentoring Amplifies. So our ask for all of you is to share these graphics and really just to try and engage your audience, the mentors and mentees in your network, and get them to participate. Also at the bottom of the screen, you'll see that we've linked the National Mentoring Month landing page, which will take you to our site. And on this page, there's graphics, these as well as others that you can download, as well as 4 different toolkits that will have ideas for engaging during the month. So after this presentation, please explore these resources and reach out if there's any questions. In the Digital Engagement Toolkit, which is one of the 4 on the site, you'll find a link to a number of digital assets that were created specifically for the Mentoring Amplifies campaign. These are 2 examples, but you should definitely feel free to explore and select the ones that really stand out to you. So there are 3 main ways that we suggest that you can engage with the campaign on social media. There's sharing any of the campaign graphics or videos, and we really encourage you to customize these assets to work for you. And then also commenting on any Mentoring Amplifies post. We want to create a community where people feel like they can share stories and resources, and this is a great way to do that. And then lastly, we ask that anytime you post Mentoring Amplifies content, you tag us at Mentor National so that we can share it and really foster a widespread conversation around mentoring. So with this new campaign, we'll no longer be using hashtag #MentorIRL, which if you've been following us, you'll know that we use that on almost every post. But instead, we'll be using hashtag Mentoring Amplifies. And we really ask that you try to do the same so that we can unify the field around a common narrative. So as Matt touched on, there are lots of different ways to customize this campaign so that it works for you. On the right, we have a few more examples of how to do that. And we had a lot of fun brainstorming kind of different ideas and ways that this could go. But the possibilities are really endless. And we want you to take ownership of this campaign and to make it work for you. So if you want to take a second, we were thinking in the chat, it could be helpful to see what words you think would resonate with your program. So you can put them in the chat now, or if you want to think on it, you can email us afterwards, and over time we can work on adding your suggestions to the graphics library. And so now I'm actually going to pass it over to Haley, who can go a bit more in depth about what assets will be available to you.
Thanks, Josie. So yeah, I want to talk a little bit more about how we can customize all these awesome assets that you've been seeing during this presentation. So we want to make it as easy as possible for you to access all of these. So we've created a bunch of folders, and we use Image Relay as a super easy way to have a shareable link that everyone can just download from. And it's another way that with that same link, we can continue to add to this folder over time, so you can continue to see new items if you come back at different times, such as the video that Matt was touching on that will eventually be added to that same folder. And here are just a few examples of the social media graphics that you can find in there. This is an example of a Zoom background, an example of a hero image for your website. And here is an example of a couple of transparent PNGs of word combinations, and there's a bunch more. And the idea is that you can just download these PNGs and overlay them over any sort of image that you guys have from your programs that you want to utilize the word combination with that we don't already have. And I know that programs have varying capacity and knowledge with design software, so I wanted to make sure that it's as easy as possible for people to customize these. So I went ahead and made a PowerPoint template where you can easily swap in your logo and your URL to make these super customized for your needs. And so that can really help elevate the mentoring field together and kind of incorporate the mentor heart with your program's logo. And that concludes our presentation, and we want you to stay connected with the CMWS webinar series, so you can email us at that email address there and visit our webpage for more. And this webinar will be added to that page so you can view it on a later date. And we wanted to open it up for some question and answer now.
And feel free to put your question in the chat for us, or however else you would like to ask.
A few folks have been asking about using their own program photos with our backgrounds and our graphics. We just wanted to mention that's another way that you can customize this campaign for you all. We hope that we're going to continue to try to get as many photos as we can that are representative of the field, but if you feel like the ones that for launch don't represent your program well enough, feel free to use your own photos as well and put them on the background. I think Kaylee mentioned you'll have to isolate the subjects and then put them on the background. That's how we created these, but if you need some instructions around that too, we can provide those as well.
And additionally, if any photos that you've taken through your program you'd like to make accessible to our entire network, the same way we've done through Mentor Nebraska and local programs in Nebraska, please be in touch with us. We'd love to take amazing photos and to make them accessible for our entire field, so that each program doesn't have to kind of do all this work themselves. Of course, we'll need to have the right photo release forms and all of that, but it's something we really look to do. We want to make each of our lives easier by providing really powerful imagery to each other. So that's why we have rights for all these photos for you all to be able to use. And if there's ever an opportunity to add to that library, please let us know, especially in regards to photos that we don't yet have. And we really want our imagery to be as diverse and inclusive as the field. And as we continuously do an image audit, but there are some things that we don't have a lot of great photos of. A couple examples are visible physical disabilities. We're working on getting additional photos in that lens, also with older generations of mentors, and the idea of a lot of the mentors end up being in that kind of 20s, 30s age bracket. And especially during COVID times, that's the safest group to be out there with their mentees. But if you do have amazing photos with senior citizens as mentors, that's another thing that we're always looking for. So feel free to be in touch. please let us know how else we can be helpful as we're looking to serve our field through this campaign.
Yeah, another question I'm seeing is just how to access the digital assets. I put it in the chat to everyone, but you can go to our National Mentoring Month page, which is mentoring.org/NMM. And then you'll see there are 4 different toolkits around how to engage during National Mentoring Month in general, but the one you're looking for this specifically is the Digital Engagement Toolkit. And from there, you'll have different links to what we call Image Relay, which just holds all of our digital assets. And then you'll see we have suggested social media messaging. We have all the graphics that Haley mentioned for you all. So let us know if you have issues accessing that.
Fantastic. We want to give folks another minute in case questions are coming in slowly, but you're also welcome to always reach out to any of us. We're very excited to partner and really excited to see all of your posts with the hashtag Mentoring Amplifies so that we can elevate and reshare those and continue to create our online community.
One other question came up: are these resources available to affiliates or any organization? We want it to be available for everybody. So whether you're a mentoring program, an affiliate, a corporate partner, we hope that we have made the campaign nimble enough to fit your audiences, and we want these resources to be accessible for everyone.
A question just came up in regards to customizing in other brand colors in addition to all the ones from the Mentor Heart. That's not something that we have the budget to do in terms of additional color schemes, but it's something that we can absolutely work with you to figure out the right way to make that accessible if you all have the technical expertise.
One other question came up about the launch video. The launch video will be available on January 4th on the National Mentoring Month page and the Amplify page. We'll also add that to the toolkit once it's available for you all. So be on the lookout for that, but it'll be in the next 2 weeks.
Got a great question about how can we engage those of lower income. Not everyone has the same access with how they can engage with this campaign. I'm not sure if that question was meant in regards to the general public and wanting to reach folks of different income brackets, or in terms of kind of programmatic income and programmatic size. In regards to individuals, this is a digital campaign, and we are looking to engage folks wherever they are. Social media utilization from a lot of the key research and statistics is pretty prevalent across all socioeconomic brackets, and social media utilization is also. As you're targeting different audiences, asking folks who are very low income to become donors may be tone deaf. That may be a message you don't want to give, depending on the audience, or it may make sense that everyone has something they can give. But the question of customizing messaging for each audience is something that's really important. So that's something that we think is really important. And in terms of for programs that may be lower budget in terms of just not having a marketing spend or anything else, we try to be really intentional of every one of these assets, really giving them to the field for free. We never charge for anything that we are working on. And feel free to take these and run with it and post, and just continue to work on that end. I can put my email also in the chat. If I misunderstood the question, feel free to reach out. Happy to talk again offline if there is a way that we can be more inclusive from an income standpoint or a wealth standpoint. Please do let me know. It's something that's really important.
I see a question around what imagery to use for I Am a Mentor Day. As we mentioned, we did create a graphic for you all to utilize. You can download that on the National Mentoring Month page. But we think for this day, any photos, and it's better when they are particular to your program as well, but any really photos around mentors and mentees together, I think could work to encourage folks to talk about how they're a mentor or to talk about how their mentoring relationship has impacted their lives on that day.
I see two other great questions. Erin, thank you for the question. Do you suggest starting this campaign in January or before? Please wait till January 4th. If you want to start using the hashtag before that so people can start get used to it, that's something you'll see us starting to do. But in terms of all of the imagery and everything else, please hold off until January 4th. This is really designed as a sneak peek to the mentoring field, but it's designed as information that is embargoed. Erin, thank you for that question. We were not as clear as I think I was supposed to be in my intro on that one. Heather, we got a question from Caitlin in regards to which social media platforms do you see trending as the best way for outreach? Do you wanna speak to that?
Sure, yeah. So the social media platforms really depend on your audience. I know for Mentor National, we have the most followers on LinkedIn and Twitter, and we don't have a ton of engagement on Facebook or Instagram at this point. So we really try to, continue to post on all the channels and engage across, because we know that, Instagram is popular with the young people, but it also just depends on who your audience is and what your message is. So definitely take a look at your channels, and we recommend, being on as many as you can. And we understand that it takes capacity to be able to maintain, all 4 channels. And so pick the ones that are doing best for you and you think that can get out your message to the appropriate audience. That's my best advice.
Absolutely, and if you're on channels that we are not on, absolutely feel free to utilize these images there. If you, let's say, are a peer mentoring program working with high school students, you want to follow their lead of whatever social media channel your audience is utilizing, that's where you need to be. For us, a lot of our audience, while we're serving the youth mentoring field, our current followers and subscribers are more adults. So we're focusing our messaging, our tone, and which channels we use based on who our followers are. But we really suggest you all do a deep dive to understand who your audience is and meet them where they are.
Yeah, tonight we've provided social media suggested messaging, but feel free to take or leave that as you see fit. If it doesn't resonate for your channels or your audiences, go ahead and tweak it to make it whatever you think will work best for your message. So we always just like to give some suggestions for folks if you're sort of stuck and need a little nudge, but feel free to make it your own. Just make sure to use the hashtag. I see a question around timing for the campaign, and Matt, I know you touched about this a little bit, but we'll be launching on January 4th. But we really wanted this campaign to be, throughout the year and possibly years to come. We didn't mention Mentor IRL very much on this call, but I'm sure lots of you have seen over the past 5-6 years used hashtag Mentor IRL as our umbrella campaign, and we're sort of mentoring Amplifies to Mentor IRL. So using throughout the coming years, and a question about the National Mentoring Summit as well. You'll see it integrated there and going forward, starting in January. So the mentoring themes, hopefully some of you have seen as well, we'll be incorporating this into those each month.
We got a question in terms of how we are expanding upon this at the national conference, the National Mentoring Summit at the end of January. This is definitely going to be an overarching theme throughout the summit. We will have a pop-up store having some gear available in terms of the Mentoring Amplifies concepts. We will share the launch video, potentially others, and a lot of the imagery will be visible throughout the virtual conference. If we were in person, you would really feel it from the second you walked in the room. Because it is virtual, we're trying to figure out every possible way to make sure that our attendees leave really understanding and feeling the power of this campaign. It's something we're excited for.
And just to do a little plug for the summit, tomorrow actually ends early bird pricing. It's just $75 if you sign up for the summit by tomorrow. Make sure to visit mentoring.org/summit if you would like to register, and that's at the end of January. So check it out and hope to see you there.
Absolutely. We had a question about imagery we recommend for I Am a Mentor Day. Outside of the graphic we chose, is there a vibe or anything you'd recommend from folks for that day? Haley, maybe I'd send that to you. Anything you recommend folks do or don't do on that day?
Nothing specific. Feel free to go through those PNG overlays I sent out that had some word combinations. And if you want to get really custom with a photo from your program and put one of those on to have like a really unique custom post for that day, go for it. I'd say, you know, any great mentor pair photo you have would be great.
Fantastic. One other potential idea will be it's a great day to highlight staff members who are also volunteers and serving as mentors. It's a wonderful time to just elevate the leadership that you already have on your teams. And it could be as simple as just a photo and then getting to tell the story about anybody from any role within the organizations. Evelyn just asked, do we have any tips for grants or fundraisers? That is not our team's expertise from a marketing standpoint. I really, we speak a lot to getting your brand out there, showing the power of mentoring. I think having stories at the ready is really important in regards to appealing to the heart of your funders. And the idea of having young people talking about the impact of your program, having mentors talk about the training they receive from you all to be equipped to be a great mentor, those kinds of things are really powerful. And taking that time for storytelling and story collection from within your program and have those ready for your funders is one tip I would have in regards to that world. But each funder is different and what they care about is different. And just like the mentoring field and the power of a good relationship, trying to really get to know potential funders in terms of what matters to them, what makes them tick. Asking questions like, did you have a mentor growing up that you really feel a lot of connection to, or did you have many? Those kinds of things can be really helpful as you go and really build a relationship to get funders to choose you. Many of our funders have a set budget, so it's a question of how do we get them to pay attention to us specifically and to mentoring as a cause. There are a lot of worthwhile causes out there, but in my opinion, at least, I don't think mentoring yet gets their fair shake of the funding. So that's something we'd like to change. And hopefully campaigns like this will just elevate the importance of the field. And over time, we will be able to really grow the size of the pie of the youth mentoring field in this country. All right, I want to give one more minute if there are any other questions that have come in, but all of you now have my email from the chat. So if you think of questions later, please let us know. I've got one last question that we will hit. This is something that I spend a lot of my time on. So this unlike Evelyn's question in regards to fundraising, this is actually at my core. But the question from Taylor is, what tips do we have for mentor recruitment? The number one thing that we have seen through a lot of polls and surveys is the best mentor recruiters are existing mentors. So how do you share their stories widely? How do you encourage existing mentors to come to events and talk about their experience? Be ready for Q&As with folks saying, I don't feel like I have any of the skills to be a mentor. And having your existing mentors saying, shoot, I felt the same way. And here I am in year 2 of my relationship. And it's not always smooth, but I feel like we've done a lot for each other. That means a lot more in many times than any kind of high-level campaign that can come from Mentor National. And utilizing those stories. In 2021 and beyond, Taylor, to tie into that question, we are really excited about a new role we've been able to add to our team. And that we have an amazing new team member, Melissa Hines, who is our storytelling manager. And her focus is going to be on sourcing those stories from programs, from individual mentors, from mentees about our field, and wanting to share those widely. So if you have examples of those stories that you think are powerful, please do reach out. We'd love to connect you with Melissa as we look to tell those stories. But my biggest suggestion would be to include those personal anecdotes in all of your communications. It can be short interviews that you post online. It could be quote graphics or just a quote that you put into an email. As you create a flyer for a new interested mentor, making sure to have some of those personal stories. Having the powerful imagery hopefully will be useful to you as well. Love that question, and we continue to work on it and try to get better as a field as we go. The Mentoring Connector is Mentor National's tool to try to support every program across the country, where anywhere folks are, they are able to enter their name, their zip code, their email, and see a list of all the local programs where they can choose to volunteer. So we continue to beg the big brands of the world, the Nike, the Starbucks, the LinkedIn, the NBA, to try to get them to promote the Mentoring Connector to drive more volunteers to all of you. So that's another key piece. I'm just reading one last comment. Caitlin shared the youth in their independent living program asked to start a podcast, and they're going to be recording a roundtable to share on social media during January. Really cool idea. Caitlin, please do share that with us. But it's an example of content that's youth-led that I'm sure will be very, very authentic. Love that concept, and if it's something that makes sense for us to amplify, no pun intended, sorry, we will absolutely do that. So please do stay in touch with us as we're looking to just really to grow our field and to get more adults engaged in becoming mentors and becoming donors and becoming advocates for the power of youth mentoring relationships, and to be storytellers to really elevate our field. Thank you again for giving up time during this stretch, especially. It means a lot. Keep coming to us with questions. You have my personal info. If the question's not for me, I can direct you to the right place. And please circle January 4th in your calendar. We're really excited to launch this along with you. If we're going to be successful, it hopefully will include all of our voices together, sharing these launch assets on January 4th and beyond. So thank you again, and have a great rest of your day.